What if the very thing you're doing to manifest your desire is what's silently pushing it away? You think you're demonstrating faith by asking, visualizing, pleading, but deep down, you're unknowingly reinforcing the one thing that keeps it out of reach: lack. See, most people don't realize that constant asking is a confession, not of belief, but of doubt. It says, "I want this," and the universe replies, "Yes, you want this," and the wanting stays. Neville Goddard didn't just teach about manifesting, he revealed a paradox that flips everything on its head. The moment you stop asking, you start having. But that only happens when you shift from prayer into presence, from effort into embodiment, from hoping into being. You don't get what you beg for, you get what you are. In this video, we're going to explore why your repeated requests may be holding your desire hostage, and how to step into the fulfillment state that unlocks everything. If you've ever felt like you're doing all the right things and nothing's happening, this might be the missing piece, because the truth is, you've already been heard. Now it's time to stop asking and start living as if it's yours. They don't realize it, but every time they ask again, they're secretly affirming that they don't have it yet. Even if it sounds spiritual, "God, please bless me with this," the underlying signal is lack. It's like standing in front of a closed door saying, "I know it's mine, but can I have it?" That's the contradiction. The moment you ask, you position yourself as separate from the thing you say you already believe is yours. This is why repeated prayer or manifestation requests often feel exhausting, not because they don't work, but because they silently shout absence. It's like checking your phone every 5 minutes after texting someone. What are you really saying? You're saying you don't trust they'll reply. The same goes for your inner conversation with life. If you're constantly requesting, you're not resting in the knowing. Neville Goddard taught that consciousness is the only reality. So if you're aware of already having, there's no space left for asking. Asking creates a vibrational dissonance. It says, "I want," while fulfillment says, "I am." And the truth is, life reflects being, not begging. When someone truly believes something is theirs, they stop looking for proof. They start living from it. Of course, this can feel subtle. People often ask, not with words, but with tension, with longing, with "when will it come?" thoughts looping at night. But life isn't listening to your lips, it's listening to your state. And that state is revealed not in how loudly you affirm, but in how silently you assume. Which brings us to a strange paradox worth exploring. It sounds noble. Faith that pleads, cries out, begs heaven to respond. But real faith doesn't ask. It knows. That's the paradox most people miss. The more you ask, the more you're unknowingly declaring that you don't have. True belief doesn't knock twice. It walks through the door as if it already owns the room. Neville used to say that faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. That means staying loyal to what's already yours in imagination, even when the outside world looks unchanged. The moment you plead again, you're stepping out of that inner knowing and back into uncertainty. And this habit of constant asking trains your mind to expect delay, not fulfillment. It's like a person ordering food at a restaurant, then calling the waiter every minute asking, "Is it coming?" That's not trust. That's doubt disguised as concern. If you believed your order was received, you'd relax into the moment, maybe sip your drink. Faith behaves like that. It assumes the invisible delivery is on its way and stays in peace. This is the secret many spiritual people miss. They think more asking means more power. But in truth, the most powerful moments are the quiet ones. When you stop asking and start being, when asking ends, assuming begins. And that shift takes you into a completely different dimension. There's a reason Neville drew a bold line between asking and assuming. They don't just feel different, they exist in different psychological worlds. The one who asks is still trying to get somewhere. The one who assumes has already arrived. One acts from hope, the other from fulfillment. And life, being mirror-like, doesn't respond to effort. It reflects state. Imagine two people desiring love. One says, "Please, let me find someone who loves me." The other wakes up feeling adored, makes breakfast as if their partner is in the next room, and falls asleep in the feeling of togetherness. Both desire love, but only one is assuming it. And that assumption plants a seed that reality can grow. The universe doesn't hear your words, it feels your frequency. When you're in the no-ask state, everything about your energy whispers, "I already have." You're not grabbing at life, you're living from the end. That's why people who assume often appear mysteriously lucky. But it's not luck, it's alignment. So next time you catch yourself about to plead, pause. Ask instead, how would I feel if it were already mine? That question opens a portal into the assumptive world, and once you step in, something shifts. Because you're no longer knocking, you're already inside. You might say, I already have it, but if your chest feels tight and your mind's racing with what-ifs, your state is telling the truth, and your words are just noise. That's the trap most people fall into. They speak affirmations with their mouth, but their body is vibrating absence. And the law doesn't obey what you say, it reflects what you are. It's like putting on a happy mask while panicking inside. You can say, I'm calm, but if your nervous system is lit up, you're not calm. You're performing calmness. And manifestation responds to your internal temperature, not your external script. This is why results seem delayed even when you're doing everything right. Neville Goddard emphasized feeling is the secret. Not speaking, not forcing, feeling. If you say, I'm rich, but inside you're worried about bills, you're still living in the world of lack. Your inner state becomes the broadcast signal, and that signal attracts matching scenes. It doesn't matter how often you say the words, it matters whether they match your being. This is where most get frustrated. They're affirming without aligning. Their scene looks like faith, but their frequency feels like fear. And when that inner conflict is unresolved, the loop continues. But what if the key isn't saying more, but feeling less contradiction? Every time you ask again, you're unknowingly hitting the pause button on your own manifestation. Why? Because the act of asking affirms separation. It says, it's not here yet. And as long as your state says not here, the world mirrors that back. This is the great irony. The more you ask, the more you wait. Think of it like planting a seed, then digging it up every day to see if it's growing. That's what asking does. You disturb the soil of assumption. You interrupt the silent process that needs stillness and belief to take root. Your desire is like a sprouting tree, and it can't bloom if your impatience keeps shaking it loose. Neville often said that your assumption hardens into fact, but it only hardens when left undisturbed. That means no emotional poking, no is it working thoughts, no internal questioning loops. Each of those moments pulls you back into lack. The state of fulfillment needs consistency, not doubt disguised as persistence. So the real challenge isn't getting what you want, it's staying in the state that it's done. That's where most people slip. They return to asking out of habit, out of fear, out of the addiction to doing something. But what if doing nothing was the most powerful act of creation? There's something almost magical that happens when you stop asking and start being. The air feels different. Your breath slows down. You walk through your day with a soft confidence, not because anything outside changed, but because you did. That's the quiet power of living in the fulfilled state. It doesn't scream, it just is. When someone lives from the end, their energy tells the story before their words do. They're not trying to prove anything. They're not checking signs. They move through life like it's already done, because in their imagination it is. And since imagination creates reality, the world has no choice but to fall in line. Neville Goddard insisted that the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret, not the goal, not the weight, but the feeling. If you can feel now what you'd feel then, you collapse time. You bypass logic. You activate a different level of reality that starts bending the outer world toward your inner scene. So how do you live in that state? You begin by practicing presence, noticing small joys, letting relief settle in your chest, moving through daily life as if your deepest desire is already in the room with you. And when you do that, you're no longer waiting, you're welcoming. One of the simplest and most profound practices is this. Create a short, vivid scene where your wish is already real and live in it silently. Don't tell anyone. Don't post about it. Just assume it, feel it, like a quiet little secret between you and your future. This is what Neville called the silent assumption technique. Let's say you're manifesting a new job. Instead of asking, when will it come? Picture a moment from the life after it arrived. Maybe it's you closing your laptop on a productive day, smiling with peace, or hearing a loved one say, I'm so proud of you. Replay that scene, not with tension, but with tenderness. Do it at night, in bed, before sleep. That's when the subconscious is most impressionable. Let that scene replace the old mental noise. Infuse it with the feeling is the secret energy. Relief, joy, gratitude. Don't ask, don't explain. Just be the version of you who already lives that outcome. This becomes your new habit. Fulfillment first. No more trying to control the how. No more loops of effort. Just one simple sacred scene, anchored in your imagination, rehearsed in stillness, and charged with certainty. Because when you become that person inside, life adjusts its script to match you. You'll know you've stopped asking, not by what you say, but by how you feel. There's a softness in your chest. A kind of inner silence replaces the constant buzzing of doubt. You stop scanning for signs because there's nothing to prove. That's peace. That's the no-ask state. And ironically, it's when the world starts shifting. You begin noticing small confirmations. Maybe you feel different walking into a room. Maybe people treat you a bit differently. Or maybe you just laugh more. These aren't signs in the usual sense. They're evidence that you've changed. And when you change, everything begins to rearrange itself around your new state. Gone are the urgent prayers, the obsessive scripting, the desperate affirmations. Not because you gave up, but because you received. You start living as if the wish fulfilled is your normal, not your fantasy. And this calm alignment becomes your magnetic force. You're not trying to manifest anymore. You're just embodying what you already are. This is where the subtle magic begins, not with fireworks, but with a sense of grounded inevitability. You wake up one day and realize, I haven't asked in a while. I've just lived. And that shift, that's the surest sign you're finally in the state that creates. It happens. You've been steady in your assumption, and then suddenly, there it is again. That old familiar urge to ask, to plead, to panic. Don't judge it. Just notice it. That moment is not failure, it's an invitation, an opportunity to choose again, to return to the fulfillment state rather than spiral into fear. When the doubt creeps in, breathe, seriously, pause, close your eyes, and take a long, grounding breath. Ask yourself, what would I feel if I knew it was already done? That single question reorients your energy. It shifts you from asking to assuming, from reaching to resting. One powerful move. Revisit your nightly scene. That same short, vivid moment we talked about earlier. Play it again in your mind, but this time let it soothe you. Let it wrap around your nervous system like a warm blanket. That scene is your anchor, your spiritual reset button when your inner compass starts to wobble. And with each return to the no-ask state, you're not starting over. You're deepening your foundation. You're building emotional muscle, spiritual memory, until eventually asking becomes less of a reflex and more of a relic. Because who asks for what they already live? At some point you stop asking, not because you've given up, but because you've become. You're no longer a seeker, you're a dweller. You inhabit the wish fulfilled like it's your natural habitat. There's no pleading, no performing, just living. And this is where the law of assumption becomes effortless. It stops being a practice and starts being who you are. When you live from the state, your thoughts shift subtly. You stop saying, I hope it happens, and begin thinking, how would I respond now that it's already real? That tiny internal reframe changes everything. You no longer chase outcomes. You respond from fulfillment, and the world ever faithful reshapes itself to reflect that. It's like moving houses in your mind. You've packed up from the apartment of longing and settled into the home of knowing. And though nothing outside seems different at first, something inside feels done. The inner plea dissolves, and in its place, a quiet, powerful conviction. One that doesn't need proof, because it lives the proof daily. So if it's truly yours, why are you still asking? Maybe the real breakthrough isn't in what you're manifesting, but in finally realizing you no longer need to. And when you reach that point, that's when the world starts echoing back your silent certainty. So let me ask you, who are you being when no one's watching? Are you the one still pleading, scanning the horizon for signs? Or have you become the one who knows it's already done? Who walks, talks, and breathes from the end? Because that's the real shift. Not another technique, not more effort. Just a return to your natural state, the one where the desire has already been fulfilled. If you feel the impulse to ask again, pause, breathe, step back into the scene where it's already yours. Let the feeling rise. That's the practice, that's the path. Because when your inner world stops echoing lack, the outer world stops reflecting it. Now, take this to heart. No more waiting, no more wishing. You're not here to beg the universe. You're here to become the version of you who already has. And once you live from that state, the world has no choice but to match you. If this message stirred something in you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's more ahead that will challenge what you thought was true and unlock what's always been yours.